You just beat a really, really bad Sacramento Kings team, but it was a good win. We're going to debate what that means coming up on the show.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, how we feeling, everyone? Welcome to the weekend and welcome into Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Ways that you can support this show and check us out. We're always live on YouTube. You can check us out wherever you get your audio podcasts. We are free, available, and never behind a paywall. The Locked On Sports Podcast Network. Thanks you very much for making it the #1 sports podcast network out there. Today's episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping on NBA Happy Hour. It's every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. Get those boosts and those bonuses next week. My name's Charlie. Walter Matt Kolsky, the co-host on today's show. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I want to talk a few minutes about this game, specifically the stretch, but today's show is just what this game reinforces about this team. No Sacramento Kings players, please. We'll talk about that. How an injury may have saved the Warriors from themselves, and brings up another player that I think is playing pretty good. We'll get into those hypotheticals later on. Draymond Green's playing better. D'Anthony Melton, another huge game. But let's start with the fact that the Warriors were able to – actually, you know what, Kolsky? Let's start with this.
Oh, a pivot.
Pour an Ollie pop out for the Sacramento Kings, because that team is terrible, man. They truly – do not have any sort of a future on that roster right now. It would not seem. It's ugly over there in Sacramento. So pour one out.
They are stinky. They are truly a wretched, rotten basketball team. It's a bummer, man. Because look, I go back. You might be too young for this, but I go back to that early 2000s Kings team.
Vladi and Peja and
I mean, I was in college
and Bibby. I'm not too young for that, Kolsky. I'm a man. I'm 40.
I'm a man. You're not 40. I was in college, and that was my favorite team at the time because the Bulls were a moribund pile of garbage. So we know, the point of saying that was just to point out, we know how good Sacramento is with a good basketball team, and we saw it again just a couple of years ago. It's unbelievable how far this team has fallen since the height of the Light the Beam. I mean, that was a good, fun basketball team.
Dude, they had
making
Halliburton
playoffs.
and Fox on the same team, and now they have Schroeder and Ellis.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I like Keon Ellis as like a defensive, as a, Gary Payton type of player. But yeah. And even with the Halliburton trade, they were a good team doing fun things. And the owner just can't leave it alone.
All right, let's get into the Warriors,
stick with a good coach. Yeah. So, okay.
Enough about the Kings. The Kings did hang with the Warriors tonight. Till 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. It was 84-84. Then D'Anthony Melton went off for 12 points in the final 5 minutes of that quarter. He scored 9 in a row, and the Warriors pretty much won every stat. If you look down the box score, you'll understand why the final score was, off the top of my head, was it 131-92?
That's
at a certain point, who cares? They won by about 50.
Yeah, they ended up with more than that, but not much more. Let's see. It was 137-103 was the final. Yeah.
137-103. So a 34-point skating for the Warriors. And with 3 minutes left in the game, it was tied up. And
in the third quarter.
Yep. Yeah, in the third quarter. Warriors got to give Curry some rest towards the end of the game. And the team just looks so much better when you have someone like Podziemski coming off the bench as your fifth, sixth guy, where you don't need a ton from him, where 20 minutes seems like plenty, and you're giving 25 to D'Anthony Melton, and you're getting good Draymond Green, and you're getting just heady plays by Guy Santos that aren't necessarily going to show up in the stat sheet, but it's just like as simple as a rotation on defense where he gets a hand on a ball or something that sparks a nice play that he's not really getting credit for. that's kind of what you're getting from this team right now. And granted, it's 2 wins in a row. It's the Bucks, it's the Kings, but eye test does matter, and they look a little better.
And it's not just 2 wins in a row, because as weird as it seems, I mean, some of the losses have been infuriating, but it's 8 of 11 now. They're 8-3 in their last 11 games. Now, it's frustrating because they should be 10-1. They blew 2 games and in that stretch. But
was Toronto the other?
Toronto and I was just looking at it. A better team than Toronto, but a worse loss.
Phoenix, maybe?
No, it was the Clippers. That Clippers loss. They should have beat that team. They choked it away down the stretch, just like they did with Toronto. You know, that one went to OT. But 8-3 is good over an 11-game stretch, even if there are some infuriating losses in there. And what's better is Atlanta is, you know, in transition right now, to say the least. Then you get Portland, who, yes, they have bothered you, but they're an under 500 basketball team. The Knicks are the best team of this stretch, but then the Hornets are not particularly good. The Heat, not great. And then you get a chance to get revenge on the Raptors, and all of those games are at home, and the only back-to-back is that last Heat-Raptors turnaround. So, you know, they can stretch this to 12 of 15 or something like that, and then you're right back in the thick of things, I would imagine. So, you know, we mentioned this early in the season. There were a lot of road games and a lot of tough games in the early part of the season. This is where it's coming back to you, and the Warriors have to make sure that they have more efforts like tonight, where, yes, it's annoying that the Kings hung around for 2.5 quarters, but ultimately, Warriors cruise to victory, no problem, no concerns whatsoever, and no nonsense in the final quarter.
And we got no concerns about Steph Curry aging out anytime soon. He's averaging 29 points on the season, on 46% from the floor and 39% from 3, 92% from the free throw line as well.
And those shots, Chuck, the 2s and 3s are harder than they've been in a while. He's taken a lot of tough shots.
Dude, look at the stat sheet, up and down. I mean, 31 against Milwaukee, 27 against the Clips, 31 against Utah, pedestrian game against Charlotte where he goes for 26, 27 against Brooklyn. This is why, man. This is why that when some people pop in the comments and say you guys are delirious, delusional, delinquents, and irresponsible if you think the Warriors are a Michael Porter Jr. edition or a Zion Williamson edition, there's a tease, or a name the player Trey Murphy edition away from being semi-competitive. Thunder can't beat anyone right now. They've come back down to earth. Jokic is hurt. I mean, damn, Minnesota may scare me more than anyone in the West at this point.
I mean, listen, if you look at the Western Conference, it's an absolute murderer's row of misery, no matter any way you cut it. But the thing is, that applies to literally every team in the Western Conference and their outlook as well, not just the Warriors. Like you said, the Thunder aren't beating anyone right now. I still think they're the best team. I think the next tier is Spurs, Nuggets, T-Wolves. And then I think the Warriors are kind of already on the third tier with the Lakers and the Suns and the Rockets, who are struggling right now.
Do you think the Thunder, though, won a 1-8 matchup in the first round, 1 versus 8, assuming the Warriors go the play-in route, with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Michael Porter Jr. and D'Anthony Melton?
That's what I'm saying, is if they – and look, Michael Porter Jr. is not my favorite guy, but if you're talking about
name
basically –
that player, just in addition, going
right,
from
it doesn't
0
matter.
to Kuminga.
That's exactly right. Whether that's the point, is the $25 million player that you are talking about trading away is not playing for your team. So if he's the main thing going out, whatever you get is gravy to the roster that you're playing right now. It's just pure additive. There's no takeaway. And honestly, even if you have to trade a Moses Moody or, you know, have to trade is probably not the right phrase for Buddy Hield, but even if 1 or 2 more guys are in that deal, you're still basically not losing anything because you got a pile of guards. And if you can turn that into, I mean, this is not who it's going to be, but let's say, because he kind of is ironically perfect, let's say you turned that pile of poo into Andrew Wiggins. This is a much better basketball team, you guys. Much better. Now, I'm not going to say that raises them to the level of like coin toss with the Spurs or the Nuggets or the Thunder, but it definitely puts them closer to puncher's chance. And
as long as you got 30,
if you have 30, give me a puncher's chance. If Steph Curry's on the floor,
30 and 31 on the floor together,
give me a puncher's chance, and I'll take that. It's better than most teams have. So, yeah, right now the Warriors are the 8th seed, and if they don't get any better than this, that's probably where they'll stay. But there's an opportunity to get better in, let me check my watch, 6 days. So we're finally almost at the point where Jonathan Kuminga can and probably will be traded. Let's see what happens before we write anybody off.
Let's make sure that trade does not involve, at least directly, returning any of the Sacramento Kings players. I've seen enough, as John Taffer would say, shut it down.
Shut it down.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel. It's a great time for football. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack, and first thing you'll see is what boosts you want to apply. It lets you lean into your game day instincts. It gives you more juice on the bets you already like. If you like plus 110, bump it up to plus 180, win more money for free. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Let's get back to the show.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, I want to get into the Kings offerings over the summer, first of all, before we break down this game. While it's on my mind, the fact that they offered Devin Carter and Saric for Kuminga. I mean, maybe they were smart in trying, but the Warriors wisely turned that one down. And the whole Malik Monk, you saw what Malik Monk's impact was in today's game and the contract that he's on for the next couple of years. And Sacramento's probably not getting Jonathan Kuminga, unfortunately for them. So if all they needed during the summer was to throw in a sweetener like Keon Ellis to get their guy, if they believed he was their guy and they balked and said, no, we'll get him at the deadline, I don't think the Warriors want anything from Sacramento at this point. Like, you watch that team, and that's a bunch of losing basketball players cobbled together, man.
I don't know that the Warriors ever wanted anything from Sacramento. Now, is there a way that they could put together something to get back into the Kuminga sweepstakes indirectly? Perhaps, because they do. I mean, no one on that team means anything to anyone. Apologies to Domantas Sabonis. He wasn't there tonight. But the guys we watched tonight, I mean, who do you think Sacramento Kings fans are most attached to out of everybody that played for them tonight?
Dude,
I would guess.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who do you, even their rookies, I mean, maybe Reyno.
Could be Keon Ellis, ironically. Like, he's at least an interesting player that they kind of found and was a surprise and can really defend and occasionally hits a bunch of threes. Like, he's an NBA player who's exciting and young and lively. But God, if I had to watch I mean, I know what it's like to watch DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine play together, which is, you know, a relative term when you're talking about those guys on your favorite basketball team. But and let me just address this now, because I have watched so much DeMar DeRozan, and he is a talented scorer, and apparently, by all accounts that I've ever heard, one of the best dudes. Like, just good dude in the NBA. I would pay you, Afshin, I would pay you money to keep DeMar DeRozan off the Warriors. That's how badly I do not want him on the Golden State Warriors. He is the absolute worst idea I can think of. a guy who slows down your offense, who does not play representative defense, and who his only value is with the ball in his hands, taking mid-range jump shots. Mostly that value comes in the fourth quarter. And under no circumstances is a team with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry going to give DeMar DeRozan the ball down the stretch in the fourth quarter. So we can write that off right now. DeMar DeRozan may very well at this point be the best player on the Kings, which is a sad state of affairs, but he is not a player that the Warriors should be interested in. And honestly, Keon Ellis is the only guy on that roster I'd have any interest in if I was the Warriors. And, he's not a difference maker for this team this year. So, yeah, hard no on
LaVine
the
on
Kings.
Paper fits. Right?
I love Zach LaVine. I think he would fit, but financially, you can't make it happen.
And Melton's your guy, man. This is now back-to-back really good games that he's had. He's young. He could potentially be a part of your future. Why are you bringing in an older shooting guard that costs 10 times as much money as Melton?
I'm not sure how much older he is actually, but either way,
LaVine's like 31, is he not?
Maybe. The price makes it ridiculous.
Melton's 26.
Though. God, is Anthony Melton only
Age
26?
is just a number. Dude, Melton's young.
I can't believe he's only 26. Yeah, listen, Zach LaVine, I've always loved. I think he's gotten a bad rap, and I think he's better and could be more of a winning player in the right circumstances, but not for this money. He doesn't fit on the Warriors. And like you said, with Melton, you get at like a quarter of the price, you get a guy who can't explode offensively like Zach LaVine, but who can score and who plays much better defense and is a better distributor and just a better fit.
He's 27,
and,
by the way.
Okay, good for him. That's excellent. I didn't know he was that young. But I honestly, like, hear me when I say this, and I do not think it's a possibility in the slightest. Reconciling with Jonathan Kuminga is a better idea than trading for DeMar DeRozan. I am telling you.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's when you know neither's a good idea.
That's right. That's correct. That's the point I'm making.
So I think a lot of the positivity surrounding the Dubs right now, I mean, I wouldn't even have known they were 8-3 over their last 11. I know they've been playing better basketball, but you're right, man. A couple possessions away from truly being 10-1. They have 6 more home games in a row. They can get to a comfortable spot where they're sitting in that 6th seed, maybe with a new player coming in. And depending who that player is, anyone, like I said, it's an upgrade from Kuminga. So you have very good reasons to be excited. But the Al Horford addition, and by addition, I mean, he was out for like a month when he was playing. It just felt like he was kind of getting his sea legs under him and wasn't really giving you competitive minutes. And you can see him starting to turn it up just a little bit. He had that nice pass to Curry to start the game. Backdoor, still so smart. Already has kind of a telepathic connection with Steph. We saw it from game 1. Good passer, good screener, still plays good defense, and a welcomed addition that you have on the vet minimum right now. And if, Horford and Melton keep playing like this, that is the best you could have done with $6 million to use, or $8 million, whatever the minimum was for both those guys this offseason. Like, kudos to the front office on that one, because I don't think there were any 2 players out there for that combined amount of money that would have given you more of an impact.
Ever. Veteran minimums for 2 guys that, as of
a
now,
Hall of Famer and the guy that is actually like really good, like Friends 6 Man of the Year.
And I would say right now that's they're in your closing 5, right? I mean, if the playoffs started tomorrow, you're closing games with Melton, Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and Horford. That's the best 5 they have, I think. Now, that probably will change, or it certainly could change. And there's other versions of that where you're playing small with Draymond at the center. But yeah, for 2 guys on veteran minimum contracts, and obviously there's specific circumstances. Neither can play back-to-backs right now. Melton coming off the knee, Horford, DNP old. But those things tend to matter less in the playoffs because the pace slows down both in terms of the schedule and the actual game itself. And guys with that kind of toughness and tenacity and just like knowing the right things to do, they matter more when the games matter more. So all that's to the good. The question to me is just, and a few people have said it in the chat, You're okay on a night like tonight playing a terrible basketball team when you're getting a really nice bench scoring night from Pajemski and Melton and 6 for 7 and 12 points from Gary Payton, right? Against a good team, you're still a scorer short. So to me, the question in terms of, is this team a, playing team fighting tooth and nail all year just to get into a playoff series, or are they the 6th seed with a puncher's chance? The question is, what happens when it's time to trade Kuminga? And I'm fascinated, man. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Who's that player coming in, and could they be coming in from the Big Easy? According to the latest report, no one is for sale in the Big Easy, except maybe the team, Kolsky, at some point, likely.
Well, what if Joe Lacob is that legal? Can Joe Lacob buy the Pelicans and trade whoever he wants to the Warriors? How does that work?
Hey, let's get the GoFundMe ready. This is Locked On Warriors. We're going to continue with some trade target talks, and got to give Draymond a shout out for a little segment coming up. That's on Locked On Warriors.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Today's episode is brought to you by Betterhelp. Let's tell you a little bit about our sponsor, Betterhelp. As we roll into the new year, there's a lot of pressure to chase a new you, but sometimes it's not about reinventing yourself. It's about feeling a little less weighed down. Therapy can help you understand what's been holding you back. I have horrific ADHD at this stage of my life, and sometimes you just need to talk with someone and unpack things and get that order of operations and figure out that certain things don't matter and just take a load off. And that's what therapy does. They're fully licensed in the U.S. They work under a strict code of conduct. They match you with therapists based on your needs and your preferences. If it's not the right fit, they'll switch you at no additional charge. They've served over 5 million people, including myself, with over 30,000 therapists and live sessions, average a 4.9 out of 5 rating across more than 1.7 million client reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with qualified therapists. Sign up and get 10% off. That's BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
All right, so let's start off with a little Draymond Green, man. He had a nice night. Final stat line for him was typical Draymond numbers, but actually, I want to say this before I dive too much more into Draymond's performance tonight, because the algorithm hit me hard the other day. I got rookie year Draymond. It was a sizzle of some of his best plays, and it included Michigan State highlights as well. And you forget some of the offensive ability that Draymond had, man. Like, he was cooking people off
Draymond.
the dribble. Can you imagine 2016 rather, Draymond dialing up, off the dribble jumpers from the top of the key?
T-shirt Draymond at Michigan State. I have not forgotten, because I haven't forgotten that draft from about pick 10. I was yelling at the screen, why isn't anyone picking Draymond Green? I mean, not for nothing. Maybe that's why I have him on my wall. He's one of my best pre-draft predictions.
He's not that same player offensively, man, but on nights like tonight and in the big games, you just see the competitiveness that he brings, the toughness, and he can still play at an extremely high level.
He's different, man. He's a different player, but he's still capable of most of that stuff. Now, I don't want him trying
not offensively. He's not capable of a lot of things I saw in those videos. I've been watching enough Warriors games over the years to know that Draymond Green has not made any of those plays in nearly a decade, it feels like. He was not making those plays in 22 when they won the championship, and hasn't since.
It depends what plays you're talking about. I mean,
I'm talking Draymond cooking people off the dribble with turnaround fadeaway Jays. And
but if that's part of a sizzle reel, that's nonsense. He never did that with any regularity, right? He did attack the basket more. And honestly, I think that's part of what he's done well over the last couple of weeks, is eating up some of the space that people give him. He doesn't just take the three every time now. He waits till he's comfortable, and his three-point shooting looks a lot better over the last few games, at least, I think, as a result of that. He's not the same athlete he was, of course. Nobody is at that age. Steph's not the same athlete he was. But when Draymond is focused and not turning the ball over, he's still an incredibly valuable offensive player. Not scorer, but offensive player. So, on a night like tonight, yeah, he hit 3 or 4 threes, and that's what people notice. But, 8 assists, 3 turnovers. That's the key, man. 3 or fewer turnovers, 6+ assists. That's the Draymond you want. And if he's doing that, the offense just flows better. It's just what's so frustrating is that what has made Draymond a Hall of Famer is all up here. And what has made him hurt the Warriors so much this year is all up here. Because, he's not the same athlete, but he's still physically capable of being an elite NBA player. And he has not brought the focus required. So hopefully that's over. Hopefully this is the Draymond we're getting the rest of the year. And if so, great. Again, it's just that extra scorer, and then I think they really got something.
I think it's fair to look at someone that's exact age not in front of me. I'd guess over under 36.
Yeah,
36 and a half. I think he's 36.
Yeah.
You get to that age with some of the deficiencies that he has in the way that he plays. Like in history, you look at players like Draymond Green, by the time they're 36, usually they're not players that you're relying on in a 7-game series as a contender. So historically, you kind of look at that, you look at some of the inconsistencies he's had this season, you say, has Father Time caught up to him enough to where we're not going to get high-level Draymond? But I think we said that last year. I think we said that in the Boston series in 22 when he was playing awful until game 3 or 4 in that series. He was getting
Look, man,
by Horford.
Look at Steph, look at Horford, look at Draymond, look at Kevin Durant and LeBron James and Jimmy Butler. I think we got to reset
modern day
the way
science.
We understand age in the NBA. For the guys who really care and really still want to do it at that age, it's more possible than it's ever been before. But you're right. Father Time comes for everyone, and at some point it's going to end. You just hope they can squeeze another year or two out of all these guys.
I like this comment, man. After Moody left the game, the Warriors took off. Give Gee more of Moody's minutes, please. Moody got cooked off the treble over and over with quick players. I would say that, and I don't know if it's going to be Moody. Let's ask you this question. Case study here. Warriors make a trade for whether it's Murphy, whether it's Porter, name that guy. There are multiple players going into the deal. Between the core that played tonight off the bench, the 6 dudes that the Warriors had, who would you say you would be most willing to move off of? So I'm not talking Spencer and TJD and the guys that didn't play. I'm talking the Will Richards, the Al Horfords, the guys pods, the guys off the bench. Like, which one would you say, or maybe it's the guy in the starting lineup, Moody, which one would you move first? I guess financially has to be a part of this, but just in general.
I mean, see, there's so that's a tough question to answer because there's so many considerations based on specifically who you're trading for and what the financial situation is that I don't know that I can give you a good answer to that, because here's how I would put it. Obviously, Steph's off the table. I'm not trading Jimmy or Draymond unless Giannis is coming back. Other than that, I'm probably least interested in trading Horford or Melton, and everybody else 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I honestly do not think there's a huge difference. If you're acquiring a legitimate, consistent third scorer for this basketball team, I don't see a huge difference between giving up Moses Moody or giving up Brandon Pajemski or giving up Will Richard or giving up Gary Payton and Guy Santos or whatever. Like, honestly, that guy's going to be the 8th or 9th man now. And it depends who you bring in. Podziemski is a better ball handler and offense initiator than Moses Moody. I probably, I think Moody is a better defender. And
I would have thought stock answer would be Peyton, but he's been playing so well.
yeah, and Steve just loves him. It's
and contract, if you're talking that,
right.
like doesn't
we
have
have
the same value as even Pods in a filler deal,
Yeah, but haven't we learned also just fundamentally, like, just give Steve guys he likes so we don't have to fight about it? I don't know. I think Steve Kerr would be much less happy to part with Gary Payton than with any of the other guards on this roster, save Steph Curry. So I don't think it'll be GP. Plus, like you said, it doesn't help much. What we're talking about is guys you would add to deals to increase the money on the Warriors side, and Peyton's money is very small. So I can understand someone who says Moody's the most expendable, but I could also say understand someone saying Brandon Podziemski is the most expendable. It's definitely not DeAnthony Melton. Okay? If we've learned anything the last couple weeks, DeAnthony Melton is not the guy you'd be willing to part with. And again, minimum contract probably wouldn't help you that much to part with him. He's worth much more than that. So, I would say Kuminga and then Buddy would be the second most likely to be a part of that trade because he makes a decent chunk and, maybe someone thinks it'll be fun to have him. But Podziemski, Moody, heck, even if you had the trade Quentin Post, I'd live with it. I wouldn't be thrilled. I like Quentin Post a lot. I think he's a good development player for this team, and I think he helps you right now. But he doesn't rebound at all, and that's tough even for a stretch five. So, yeah. Tell me who you're bringing back. I'll tell you who I'd trade for him.
Yeah, and the minutes at this point, when you compare Melton to Podziemski, Melton ran for 19 today. Pods ran for 22. So Podziemski's still getting more minutes than Melton, but you would have to think, I guess one train of thought is that Steve Kerr would play them together somehow, some way in the playoffs in a finishing lineup. But if not that, you would have to think that Melton's going to get the nod at some point when they feel fully ready to unleash him, because I think he's just better than Podziemski. At this current moment, I think he's a better overall basketball player than Brandon Podziemski.
I would go so far as to say that there's not a single thing on a basketball court that Brandon Podziemski consistently does better than DeAnthony Melton. So
stats say shooting, but
DeAnthony Melton just came back from a year layoff, and he and everyone around agrees that he's been shooting the ball terribly until the last couple games. So, we'll see where they end up shooting wise, but who would you trust more given a big shot?
Yeah. And will they have another big shot maker coming in? Let's finish with this, Kolsky. Not spending too much time on it. We'll have 6 more days to break down the Warriors trade talks before they're even eligible to make a deal with Kuminga. But Trey Murphy, 35 today. Zion Williamson, 31. I watched the Pelicans 21-point win over the Wizards. And Trey was awesome, 13 and 24. He hit 7 threes in his 16 attempts. He shoots them from deep. He shoots them often. But, man, Zion's a lot of fun to watch. And I don't think it's going to be with the Warriors. Neither of them, according to DeMars, are up for sale, or at least to be traded in terms of reports. But, man, watching Zion and the gravity that he provides with just some of it, he's got to be one of the best finishers around the rim in the league. Like when if he gets within 5 feet of the bucket, doesn't matter if it's off the spin, whether it's a straight line drive, he's likely going to finish every time.
Yeah.
Even with Wemby there, he finished over him.
Zion,
he's playing well.
He is fully the question with Zion is exclusively about availability. And I would say not just in terms of is he healthy, but also in terms of is he locked in? Because if he is locked in and on the floor, he is an all-star, full stop. He's unbelievable. He still does things nobody else can do at that size, skill-wise. So, yeah, not a perfect player, but an all-star with ridiculous upside who's still only 25 years old. So of course, if you could get Zion without giving up all that much, you'd do it. Now, the problem there is he's got this weird contract, which, is about 40 million this year, which I think the Warriors could get to somewhat easily, Kuminga and Healed and
Moody. Kuminga and Moody.
There you go. Done.
You're there.
Now you'd probably have to add at least 2 first rounders to that to get the Pelicans' attention at all. But I would make that gamble. I would, because that's a true superstar level talent who has proven his ability in the NBA. And if you can get his mind right and his body right and get him on the floor, you can win a title with Steph, and you have a franchise face to carry you into the post-Steph era. It would be an absolute coup. That said, there's always the risk that he comes here and barely plays and gets fat, and that wouldn't be good. But again, that's a deal. Right, I get it. I get it. Maybe sometimes he does, but that's a deal you'd make, giving up things that don't matter in the NBA for what could be a superstar. It's a worthwhile gamble in my book. Trey Murphy, contract wise, Kuminga straight up. Now you're going to have to add draft picks to that because Trey Murphy has bona fides, but he's under contract for what, 3 more seasons? The thing is, Zion under a max and with some weird release clauses that give the Pelicans some power over him, and Trey Murphy at $25 million a year are good deals. They're affordable young players that, because the Pelicans don't have their pick next year, they don't really have any incentive to trade because they don't want to tank. There's no reason for them to tank. And they don't really know what the heck their team is. Like, it's a weird collection of goofballs mostly, and it has no clear direction. So if I was them, I would probably also not be trading anything and thinking to myself, I got to figure out what I'm doing before I know who I want to trade and what I want back. That said, dumb teams do dumb stuff, so you never know what'll happen. And I would be interested in either of those dudes if they were available.
Yeah, man, Zion. That's you want a center. Warriors fans have wanted a center for forever, and I think what they're talking about is they want someone that can score around the rim consistently, that you can get it to down low. Whether you get it to Zion on the block and he spins and finger rolls it middle of the lane, or whether he takes it from the top of the key on a straight line drive. That dude, he gets to the rim, man. Like, Warriors don't win points in the paint stat a ton. You add that guy to the fold, you're going to start winning some points in the paint stat. And he'd be fun to watch. He'd be intriguing to watch, or intriguing the idea of watching him with Steph Curry. So if that was a name that got some smoke, I would start warming up my hands. Yes, I bought a rookie card of his today. They're very cheap right now, Kolsky, so I had to get back in.
All right.
I did, yes. Even the rare ones are cheap. Everyone has sold their stock, and I watched that game tonight, and I was just like, I'm back. I'm back on the Zion train, man. He's so damn good when he plays. He's on an unserious team, and, tough situation.
Unfortunately, he has been part of what has made that team unserious at times. So that's one of the concerns. But
yeah,
again, I would take the chance.
Winning time. What is his winning DNA? How hard is he going to work? How hard is he going to work on his body? All these things that clearly matter. And you've seen it firsthand with, Curry and Draymond and some of these guys taking care of their bodies into their late 30s or whatnot. Zion's 25, but most people look at him as if he's 32 at this point. They're like, maybe we can squeeze 3 more years out of Zion. It's like, dude, he may go for 15 if he can take care of himself.
Yeah, that's the thing is he just has to decide to take care of himself, and somebody probably has to be involved in helping that happen. That'd be
he could just be getting
though.
Started with his career. He could
really
just
could
be getting started. That he hasn't even hit the peak yet. He hasn't even gotten an All-NBA yet. Or he could literally be like an injury or 2 away from just shrug your shoulders like,
oh, well,
why?
What could have been? Yeah, it's all true. Hey, I have one quick thing I have to say before we go.
What's up?
So, speaking of things we watched last night, I watched this Counting Crows documentary on HBO. but nearly jumped out of my seat about 2.5 minutes in when all of a sudden there's our good buddy Steve Kerr saying, well, about my close friend Adam Duritz, let me tell you. So I guess what I'm saying is it's come to my attention that Adam Duritz is a level of Warrior fan that might someday lead him to check in with us. And I just want to make sure it's clear that I love Steve Kerr, and anything I've ever said about Steve Kerr was at the very worst constructive criticism. I've had him in the Hall of Fame since he was lighting up the court with 3-pointers. Big Steve Kerr guy here. Hi, Adam. Your music means a lot to me.
That's awesome. A. B. Completely unbiased, right? We just try to tell it how it is.
Unbiased.
And sometimes, Kolsky, when we try to tell it how it is with a team that how it is changes every single day, it feels like you say some things where the next week it's stupid, and sometimes you say some things like Steph Curry's really, really good and it stands the test of time. So can't win them all.
Hey, we really did good on the Steph Curry one, though. We had that. We had that from the very beginning, Chuck.
I mean, I may have said at some point last year when he went 0 against Memphis, I was like, is he starting to slow down? And then
that was just reactionary.
Next game, 56 against the Magic or whatever. Yeah.
That's reactionary, Chuck. He doesn't count. It's just real Chuck always believed.
Yeah, reactionary Chuck only shows up on days that end with Y. So, Kolsky, good stuff, my man. Locked On Warriors are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for tuning in.
I love you, Adam.